time I was like searching around and looking around to get some connections of people outside of it. And yeah, I guess I noticed your movie and your aspirations to make a movie, and I was kind of interested, especially because as a graphic designer, I was back in those days also thinking about making a switch more to motion graphics, and so it was I considered an interesting challenge to be a part of the project. So I reached out to you, I think, back in those days, and we started to chat, and then from one thing came another.
Yeah, that sounds right. I remember in that moment, you reaching out and saying, I think I can, there's some parts of your film, like I like your film and I want to help you. But I think there's some parts of your film that like aren't high quality and I could help make them better. And at that point, I was like, I never made a feature film of this intensity, the drama for me personally of this type of film, but also I'd like been in it editing for like a year. So whatever version you saw or noticed you saw, so I think I sent you a private link to watch it.
I think you did, yeah.
And I was like, this is it. I'm so exhausted. It's done. And you're like, I think we should work on it more. And I was like, no. Okay. Yes, we should say yes to this person. That's a generous offer. And then you made it so much better. And like, the key parts were, and you have a nice point on your spot on your web page that talks about what you did to improve the film.
Yep.
And it doesn't, looking back, it's like, why it seems so simple what you offered and what you, in a way like obvious, but I didn't see it. I was like, oh, we have images for those. Like, how can this make it that much better? But I feel like, like there's this saying in the photography world, like you're in your portfolio, you're only as good as your worst image. And I felt like you totally nailed it on what you thought could be improved, which was like blocks of text on screen, making that more artistic and taking images of an album cover and turning those into real CDs that are held in a hand.
Yeah.
I will bring that up because that's like a really cool thing that you did.
Yeah, well, I have a background in, of course, in the 2000s when I finished my school. My first jobs were actually working for the Belgian department of MasterCard. Also, PlayStation were some of the clients of the company I worked for, and we had to do a lot of PowerPoint presentations. I kid you not. We had to improve them to make them look more professionally. So from that angle, I kind of had, I developed during the years, of course, a kind of eye for how can I improve and how can I make stuff better. So based on, I guess, that baggage, I made those kind of suggestions to you.
Yeah, here we'll share it right now just to give people an idea. Can you see this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So here's the web page where we had, this is the original images that I sent to you, and this is what we had in the movie, which were the actual album cover pre-print images before they made the CD covers back in the 90s, early 2000s. And here's the images that you went and, how did you do this, just to give the audience an idea?
Well, actually, these are pictures I took from other discs, other compact discs that I had at home, and I kind of took out the original photograph or the original artwork, and then I replaced it by the artwork of those artists. Of the
they look so real. Yeah. So it's like a real photograph, but you replace the image later. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. You just take a picture of another album. Maybe I can pick one. Look, if I'm not mistaken, I think it might have been even Gautier, if I'm not wrong, one of those big boxes, and I just chopped off in Photoshop, took off everything. I piled up some of my other discs. I gathered some of those, paper covered, and then other ones as well, cardboard ones, and just eliminated the original artwork and replaced it by your stuff. And then, cool. Of course, it looks much better than just taking an old pixelated or old scan of a disc, of a compact disc, and then just showing it. I was thinking it's more nice if you can have like your typical zoom during documentaries. You see that a lot.
The Ken Burns like slow push or pull or move across the screen.
I had no idea it was called that way. It's thanks to you that I never heard of
Ken
Burns. To be honest, I'm ashamed to admit that. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I learned that from a filmmaker when I was first getting back into film. He was like, "You just do Ken Burns on it," and I was like, "I have to research what that is." And he's like, "Oh, it's just like the famous Vietnam War series about that this documentarian did, where they just had like 10,000 photos to work with to tell the story.
Uh-huh.
So like just like taking the photo, and instead of just having a photo on the screen and it's just a photograph, as soon as you add motion to it, now it's a motion picture. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I had no idea it was called. It's interesting. I did my research then back then when you talked about it, and I was like, oh yeah, interesting. That's great. I just used to call it just a slow zoom or something like that because I'm
yeah,
a big fan of the effect. Also in movies, I have watched not so long ago the series Dark. It's made by
it's
a
so
German.
good. Oh my
Yeah,
god, it's one of my favorite time travel
I
type.
absolutely love
Not
it.
It's a spoiler, I guess, to say that, but in the first couple episodes, you learn that there's something going on with time. But yeah, that series is incredible to me. It's like psychological thriller mixed with time travel, mixed with I don't know
Yeah, and it's
It's like a
completely
period
filled up
film.
with those slow zooms as well. Huh? Coming
Yeah,
in very, very, very slow.
mhm,
Um, just for example, just a portrait of a face, and then pushing in just a tiny bit, and then cut next to the next scene.
mhm,
Yeah, I love the cinematography
yeah,
of the Dark series. Absolutely as well.
yeah. I want to get more into your work, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. But also, like, it's interesting to bring up European cinema and European series because I feel like from the world I'm in, most Americans or North Americans are talking about what's happening in North America and don't usually get too much from the other parts of the world. Dark broke through that barrier. Um, are there other? Can you introduce the audience to other shows that you think are exceptional from Europe?
Well, to be honest, I had no idea that Dark was also booming in the States. So, well, it's difficult. I have also always a particular taste in when it comes down to cinema, um, and it doesn't really necessarily include or just is exclusively European stuff. So it's kind of difficult for me to point it out just like that on the top of my tongue. Do you guys say that? Top of your head? Top of your Oh, your audio is dropping away.
Oh, on the
Uh,
tip of my tongue or on
yeah,
the top, off the top of my head, we say.
off the top of my head, that was the
Yeah.
right expression. So, but on the other end, I think there is a lot of still is a lot of great stuff coming out of the States as well. I
Yeah.
absolutely love the cinematography of Stranger Things as well, and the
Mhm.
entire '80s vibe. Um,
Oh, I recently found the Stranger Things. You know what a press kit is for a film?
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
a yeah, so a press kit, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like a collection of images that will, like, describe what the film will be when you finally make it. And all the text and, like, description of the characters you have in it's a pre-written script, so that you're trying to present it visually and get the story concept all buttoned up in a nice way. The Stranger Things EPK is so good. It's crazy.
Hmm.
I was really impressed by it. And I have a channel for, like, professional media creators of all kinds,
Hmm.
called In the Lens, and it's a project I started in Vietnam, so I just reused that name, In the
Okay.
Lens, but I shared it there, so I'll if you're not there, I'll invite you to the
Yeah,
Facebook
by all
group.
means, do.
Cool.
Um, but of course, the reason why I always look at movies with some graphic design interest. So
Mhm.
the story doesn't interest me that much. Sometimes I absolutely love, for example, also the Miyazaki Japanese movies.
Mm.
These stories are sometimes very complicated and difficult to understand. Also, for example, the movie 5 centimeters per second. I can't remember who's the director, but it's also a Japanese one. The story is for people that really are out for a story. It's kind of boring, but I've absolutely love the visual part of it and the ambience. The combination of the sound with the visual images is just astonishing
Mm.
for me personally. So from that perspective, kind of difficult for me to list up a couple of series or films that are absolutely worthy to watch.
Sure.
Although I discovered very recently the Russian director Tarkovsky, and he
Mhm.
makes such nice images as well. Such great
Yeah,
cinema.
very cool. Have you ever worked on other films before Witness Underground, or have you since?
No, I haven't worked on movies at all actually. So this was kind of sort of my first experience. During the process, I discovered that this is actually a niche. So there are really graphic designers that only work strictly for cinema, which is great, I think, and very interesting. But no, I didn't create anything for feature films. But in my spare time, I make some small videos myself for local bands. And these kind of projects I did. I just created a music video for a band called Corinthians. Interesting. I created a clip for them and then shot it here at home. And I kind of liked the process as well of doing that. So I'm very into visuals and that kind of stuff. So I think in the future, I probably will develop more in that direction. Also maybe visuals for concerts and live projects, maybe. We'll see.
Okay. Let's see. I remember seeing that on your website you have.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
So here's you sketching.
Yeah, this is my kitchen actually, where the boy is sitting. So
oh, nice.
And I wanted really a dark wall because I wanted to have the really dark effect, being a fan of dark. So I kind of bought a big piece of paper, the background paper for photographers.
Yeah.
And I covered this part of the wall entirely with it. And then,
cool.
And then after
seamless. We would almost, if you don't have the seamless curve, but basically a seamless backdrop.
Yeah, I used duct tape and whatever I could find to make it. And this is my kitchen table. And we put on the camera on the skateboard. So I didn't really have a dolly zoom.
A dolly, nice.
So I put it on a skateboard, but you can't really tell here. This is a scene from the clip where the main singer is doing a shaving scene. So you see the camera on the tripod standing,
pointing,
and next to it is like a Manfrotto arm holding a mirror to also recreate a dark ambient move of a guy shaving.
Okay, very cool. And we can watch it, or is this you making it? Is that right? Or is this the actual?
Yeah. No. This is the clip itself. So it's a combination of shots with. Oh, sorry. Of shots. I found also on Pexels. For example, the zoom effect you will see with an underground, and then it's a combination of live shot images and also things I made in After Effects based on still images. So yeah.
Should we watch it?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's 4 minutes. Let's do it.
Yeah, and we're seeing some illustrations also made by me.
Oh, cool.
The shaving scene. Slowly pulling out.
I like all the layering. It's really cool. It really adds a lot.
But this is made from a still image.
Oh wow!
So I cut out the sculpture and then put some clouds in the background.
Really cool.
The song is called Well, and the artist gave me the possibility to give an interpretation. And I came up with the story that Well is actually a girl's name. And the guy, when he was a little kid, he had not a real, but an imaginary girlfriend called Well. And you see the kid drawing Well. And then when he grows older, he kind of takes a distance of that imaginary idea. So it's actually the main singer here walking in the park very close to us in the city of Ghent. And the kid drawing is actually his son. So
his son.
As a side note. Yeah, as a side note.
Cool. I love that. That's really nice to have that kind of personal touch to it. It reminds me of a Radiohead video that was really famous where it was something like the singer was, I don't remember the details, so I'm going to screw this up, but basically like the singer of Radiohead, they go through like 23 rooms to represent like the 23 years of his marriage that just ended. And like each room represents like a different moment in their marriage or something like that. And it's like about their celebrating their marriage, but also like the end of it in like a really creative way by including these little elements that are so personal. It's cool to have him and this kid drawing in this music video.
I might have saw it. Who knows? Maybe there was like a part of Radiohead lingering in the back of my mind. But to be honest, I only remember Radiohead. I think the song when he's sitting in the chariot, the supermarket basket, and he's driving around the supermarket.
Right. Classic.
And is it a Nintendo? No, a Nintendo's Muse, so it can't be. Whatever. I'm butchering it again.
We'll have to go back and audience, you can let us know what we're missing.
Yeah.
Cool. This is great. Well, we can finish it.
Probably, it's finishing up anyway.
Okay.
So
cool. It's cool. I like all the layering.
Climax, and the guy is just walking to the horizon, and then it cuts. So,
is this something that you want to keep doing more with your careers?
Yeah, sure.
Videos and doing narrative like this.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I went to school to become a graphic designer. That was actually because I wanted to do something with drawing, but back in the days, for me it was impossible to go to an art school because the art schools that were present back in those days were Catholic schools. So coming from my GW background, it was quite impossible to go there. So I had to change or to choose an alternative, and that was graphic design. So that's why I came up or ended up doing graphic design actually. But I always dreamt of doing something with movies or animation. My original dream was to do something with Disney kind of animations and ending up in Hollywood maybe, or Los Angeles.
I got a fun story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Well, I met someone and we started dating, and that was a very short-lived experience, but they were staying in a house in the valley in north of Hollywood, over the mountains, where a lot of people in the industry live. And so we were in this house, and it was the house where every single, like the person, it was a woman who made Aladdin, had lived, and like she had her drawing room upstairs, and the person had just died. And so it was like the house was the family was trying to gather the things, and it was like there were boxes of like lamps, like genie lamps and like brass stuff. It was like the whole place was like, oh my God, this is where Aladdin was created, in this room, in this house, over here, over there.
It's like the Aladdin cradle.
Yeah, it was so cool to see. Like I grew up with that film, and I used to show it to my little sisters when I was babysitting, and and then to see like where it was actually created from scratch is like so cool. And then the drawing room they had was similar to like the images I've seen of your space, like someone with had a big thing for drawing and had all these books about like drawing philosophy or drawing like inspiration. It was really just a little Hollywood at the moment. There's stuff like that in Hollywood all the time. There's always
I can imagine.
It's filled with creative people.
Yeah, must have been great. But of course, we're kind of far away from Hollywood here in Belgium. But I noticed there are some of people from Belgium, for example, are doing work in Hollywood as well. So I'm also very into Leica, for example, the puppet animation stop motion animation company. They created
Leica?
Coraline, for example, and it's run by the guy who directed or animated and directed The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Wow.
You have Tim Burton, of course, but
the Tim Burton bar in Hollywood, it's so awesome. There's actual paid actors in outfits like from the movies in there.
Yeah,
it's really it's
awesome. Great. We're having the Tim Burton Labyrinth experience here in Brussels at this very moment.
Oh wow, cool, nice.
It's an experience you go through. It's I think it takes something like an hour, and it's filled up with this artwork and with sculptures and stuff like that. So, and I think he came to Paris because it first opened in Paris, and that was during summer, I think, and now it moved to Brussels. So Like 2 weeks ago, I visited with my pupils because I'm a teacher at this very moment. And then during summer, I went together with a friend and my wife to visit the Tim Burton experience. But anyway,
fun.
it's this guy, this company called Leica. There is I start doing some research, and apparently there's a woman doing a lot of animation. I forgot her name, sorry, of course. But she lives not she did not live far away from here, from me actually. So Belgian people are doing also lots of stuff apparently in Hollywood. So that's cool.
I feel like what you did for Witness Underground, like it was huge for our film and made it so much better. But your style is so interesting, and you've got so much variety of work that you've done. Is there anything you wanted to kind of highlight on your site here that you've done? Like I absolutely love this style. Is this you?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is me, of course. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. And this is actually our house. This is and if you run play, you will see that the camera just tilts up. It looks like an illustration. Yeah, I put it a little bit on the side.
Fun. Oh, so Japanese.
Yeah, it is also very Japanese inspired. I think some people describe my style, or I think I could even describe it myself that way, as a mix or a meetup between Jamie Hewlett from Gorillaz and
oh, cool. Yeah,
and
actually got to see
anime.
Gorillaz live.
Did you?
Yeah.
They're touring in America right now, are they? Aren't they?
Oh no, this is like 1999.
No? Okay. Because they're doing a tour, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah. It was funny because like I went there with my older brother at the time when we were witnesses, and it was like you couldn't see the band. I'd never been to a concert. It was packed, sold out, and it was like a white screen. And they projected a light behind the band. The band was there, but you could never see them, and it was just like their shadow was projected up in this huge way up on this huge white screen. And then they had like their animation, their like the visual stuff that you're kind of referencing that they were known for.
I think
playing
this was
above
one of the
that.
first albums, actually. One of the first albums, didn't they? Their first tours were something like that. Because in the beginning, the singer Damon Albarn, they kind of decided not to reveal who are the musicians behind Gorillaz. So that was the first decision, and then after a while, they kind of ditched that idea. And then
well, wasn't it Del the Funky Homo Sapien, Deltron 30?
Yeah, he's sure. Yeah.
He's awesome.
I think it was and
I love his stuff. Big fan.
And those guys from Me, Myself, and I, there, I think they also they also did some contributed to the album, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm sorry, I'm not too strong with rappers' names.
That's okay.
So, well, now you're scrolling through my first movie. My first thing I did ever with moving images.
Yeah, this is how, when you first reached out to me, you're like, hey, I'm also a musician who, like, I'm in the religion, leaving the religion, and I just made this music video. Like, I could help you. And you like sent me this video, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I absolutely love that connection. There's some really cool imagery that you put together for your music video, and it's a great song. Maybe we'd play a piece of that and talk through it if you're down for that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
This one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you have like a paid YouTube account. You don't get spammed with publicity all the time.
Oh, really? That's a nice feature.
Well, you seem to have it. Every time when I hit play on YouTube, I get this publicity. So you probably have a paid account.
Google's been making money off me forever, for 6 years now.
Okay. I wrote a couple of songs during the time that actually, my dad became a Jehovah's Witness when I was 4. So when I started playing music, he's still totally in. So and now I'm 42. I left in 2018. But at a certain moment, somebody came to me and asked if he could do something with my music, and we recorded some songs. And afterwards, that same person he offered me to create a clip, and I agreed on the sole condition that I could take all the direction and the visual look and everything if I could do it myself. And he agreed. So this is shot on a very small budget with 2 Sony cameras, Sony Alpha, Alpha 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
With
Very cool.
just friends, actually.
That's what I'm using right now is a Sony Alpha 7. So we shot the whole movie on this same camera that I'm shooting with and what you used here.
Yeah, the camera is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
For these scenes, we didn't have much light, so I had to do a lot of editing in DaVinci Resolve to get rid of the noise.
How do you like DaVinci?
I love it. Yeah, but it's I'm used to work in the Adobe environment.
Me too.
So it's kind of difficult to switch because you have very nice features in Resolve, but then again you're lacking stuff that you have in
Premiere.
Premiere Pro. So I like it.
Great.
The color editing is great. For color grading, it's perfect.
I feel like Adobe is terrible for color grading. It's like their tools are so in another universe. They're so completely different than Photoshop. I don't know. I'm not a color grader, but I struggle with Adobe. It doesn't I don't even understand most of their tools. And I went to photography school and had a whole course in color.
Oh, really?
What is happening? Like Adobe's Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop to Premiere, just like other universes. I'm sure it's based in something historical.
Probably. But of course, the interesting part for DaVinci Resolve is you can use nodes. You can connect nodes to correct your colors, and that's interesting.
From other people.
No, nodes is a way of working. You actually instead of in Photoshop, you have, for example, filters, and you put it on a layer, for example, a filter.
Yeah.
And now you have smart layers, but back in the days that wasn't the case. Okay, with smart layers, you can undo stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And nodes is a total different way of thinking about editing. Actually, these are like small little squares. You have like a working environment with small little squares, and you can connect them with each other. And every little square represents an editing, like a blur, or it could be adding noise, or it could be color correct. And you can just connect them together with each other. So it's never really destructive. You can copy edits and paste it on different clips and stuff like that. So that's the interesting part in DaVinci. It's really a total different way of thinking, you said.
So interesting. Yeah, there's always a lot to learn in all of these different programs and worlds.
But this was a very fun experience shooting I learned a lot doing that. For the first time for me, I drew a storyboard. I never really did that, and it forced me to think a little bit about how to arrange thoughts and clips and make sense out of it. Of course, for a music video,
the same way.
Yeah, I think so.
And do you teach this kind of thing now, storyboarding?
No, unfortunately, no. A little bit. The pupils that I teach, they, for example, I'm teaching pupils to a 5th year, a 6th year, and a 7th year. 7th year is actually an optional year. So basically, the school that I'm teaching, it's a professional school. When pupils finish, they can finish on their 6th year, and then they're, let's say, plus minus 18 years old, 18, 19 years old. And then they can have an additional year, 7th year. And this is where I teach them a bit of After Effects and some storyboarding. But the other years, it's mostly just Photoshop and logo design and Adobe Illustrator and stuff like that. Actually, retouching a bit, working with composition, making nice compositions and arrangements. Learning to draw with vectors in Adobe Illustrator. It's more like that. So the school that I'm teaching is mostly focused on print, actually, and not really moving images.
Okay.
So
what do you prefer now?
It's difficult to say. It's very difficult to say because I really like my focus definitely changed a bit to motion and film and motion graphics. But yeah, if you use the expression motion graphics, you already are putting in the word graphics. So that's the interesting part. I think it's difficult to separate the two from each other because print is also great. As you might have noticed, I have a load of books in the back. I'm a big fan of of Belgian comics, but also American comics and different ones, and stuff that is just printed and comes from the press, and you just smell it and you touch it. It's incredible also. So
Yeah. When do you think you first had a love for print media?
My dad, he used to have a lot of Belgian comics. I think you might have heard of Tintin.
Oh yeah, super
Yeah,
famous. Australian,
Tintin.
right? Am I wrong?
No, beg your pardon. Sorry,
Where's Tintin from originally?
Tintin is Belgium. Huh? It's
Is
it's a
Oh,
it's
really?
a
Oh,
Belgian
wow.
comic.
Okay.
So, but
Okay.
it's
Sorry about that,
not
Belgium.
too. No problem. I'm raised as a good Jehovah's Witness. I don't have any nationalistic feelings in me, so I don't feel insulted at all.
I think I learned
No,
about it from an Australian that I met traveling who was like, "I got a tattoo of Tintin today." And I was like, I had no idea what it was. So for me, Tintin is this Aussie's tattoo.
okay, yeah, but of course it travels all around the world. And I think they made
Yeah.
a Hollywood movie or two out of them. I think out of
Okay.
Tintin. Must have been like 10 years ago, if I'm
Mm.
not mistaken. So you have Tintin. My dad used to have the comics, comic books, because he got them when he was a kid. So I read those, and then of course the Smurfs. Those guys, you know, as well. These are
Oh,
also
yeah.
comic. There's the
I
all
loved
those.
Smurfs growing up. I didn't know that they were taboo, but for our culture.
Yeah, but I think you guys only saw the animated series. Probably you don't read the comic books, I think.
That's true. Yeah, from my experience, yeah.
Yeah, because the Smurfs, they basically just started off as being a comic book, and I started to love the Smurfs when I was a kid, because in my congregation there was a guy who really loved to draw, and he after the congregation, we together with my brother and my sister, we always gathered around him, and he was drawing Smurfs for us and little kind of thingies. So the Smurfs wasn't really a problem in Belgium at all. I know some Jehovah's Witnesses, they had problems with their conscience, and they didn't want to buy those Smurf thingies because of the wizard coming in there, Gargamel.
Mm.
But generally, it wasn't really a big deal in Belgium when I was young. So I guess it started there, and then Belgium has a very big culture of comic books actually, and it's next to France. It only takes like half an hour from where I live to cross the border with France, and also in France is a big comic book culture. So it's almost like a natural thing to like comics. So
Yeah.
every Belgian when he gets born, he probably gets some comic genes inside him, and then when you grow up, you can develop it a little bit more if you want to, like me, for example, or you just
Yeah.
you just keep the basic comic books. So, but every
Right on.
Belgian guy or girl, just I mean, every Belgian citizen has at least some comic books in their house. So
Okay.
it's
very
we even have
cultural.
a museum in Brussels. There's a comic book museum which is absolutely worth to pay a visit when people come to Belgium. It should be on the top of their list actually to visit.
In which city is that?
Brussels, and
Brussels.
it's also in an old building. It used to be a warehouse, and it's completely built in the Art Nouveau style, which is I can't really point out something to reference, but Art Nouveau is with a lot of metal welded herbal shapes. And in Brussels, you can find a lot of them. The main architect, I think it was somewhere in the 1930s or 1920s. His name was Victor Hugo. I think it's not Victor Hugo. I'm sorry, that's a writer. That's a French writer. No, his name was I forgot it.
Is that similar to the architectural style that they use on the Underground in Paris, where it's like
It's very
metropolitan?
close. It's very close to it. Yeah. Hold on, I'll just Google it. Just 1 second. I just have to know it. Art Nouveau. It's an artistic movement. Of course, it's in French. Hold on, I'll switch to English. I dated from 1900s to 1910. It was active. Oh no. It's actually a style that developed in the 1800s, 1883 until 1940, 14 actually. So and in Brussels, Musée de BD, because the French word for comic is bande dessinée. So it's the Musée de BD in French. So they make an abbreviation. You have if you go to brusselsmuseum.be, then you can check it out, and you'll see immediately some nice pictures of the the building. It's absolutely worth it to visit. It's not only very nice from an architectural point of view, but also the comic books, of course, are amazing.
There was a tragic. I would love to visit next time in Belgium. We should definitely hang out.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a tragic situation that happened like 8-9 years ago where a terrorist went into a comic company, a famous historical company that was still making comics in Paris, and killed everybody. Do you remember what that was? And did that have an impact on Belgian society as like part of this?
Oh yeah, Charlie Hebdo. I think you're talking about, right?
I'm actually not sure.
Charlie Hebdo, yeah.
Sounds right.
It didn't have any impact on us, but of course it created a big shockwave. It was actually I don't think the comic stuff is published in. It's actually a magazine. I don't think it's published in Belgium, but it's always very satire. It's always very satiric. Is that a word?
Yeah, satirical.
Satire. Yeah. And they, I think it had to do with religious things, and they kind of got some terroristic problems there. Yeah, exactly. But no, we didn't feel anything, of course. But we were very shocked because people that really love comics, like Belgian people, it's like, come on, because of a comic, seriously.
Right.
How could you like drop a bomb or shoot anyone or whatever just based on a comic book? So
right, a drawing.
Yeah,
it is kind of crazy because it's like authoritarian regimes go after artists, and here you have a religious high control group, or just like they're manipulating people, doing mind control, thought control, to the point that someone's like going to plan to kill the people who made the art. Like the ideas are real, and the ideas are like already in society, but the person who made a piece of art about it is the problem. Like they couldn't handle it.
Yeah, you could understand like that happened maybe a couple of 100 years ago, when some artists created stuff that the church didn't like here in Europe.
Right.
But these days, yeah, you think those days are over, but yeah, apparently not.
Yeah, in some parts of society, human society, we haven't advanced, and maybe we won't. Maybe we never will. We'll get stuck in this cycle of filthy artists.
Well, that's a thing from time to time. Sometimes you get the impression like people are getting better educated and are better aware of information. But then again, yeah, after a while, sometimes it happens that you have to draw the conclusion that, yeah, people, the new generations are coming and they're growing up and they're maybe less informed. I think education just plays a big role. As a teacher, I'm noticing, for example, that when you compare it with our days, let's just put it this way, when I was in my 18s, probably because of social media and because of the fact that people are easier distracted with their telephones, that the youth is reading, at least in my school where I'm teaching, we see that people don't read that much anymore as they used to do. And that's of course a pity, because I'm still convinced just reading regular books and holding paper and reading that, even just on a tablet, of course, is also possible. Still is the basis of basic of getting under or understanding the world, or at least getting better educated on stuff. I think, but I'm not sure. But I noticed there's like a difference. I think even when it comes down to us being adults, I think that it's fair to say that even adults in general don't read that much anymore as they used to do. Before there was like social media and everybody having their cell phones and stuff like that. I might be totally wrong, but I'm just getting that impression.
Yeah. I think reading is important, and I don't know. I come from that last century generation where I always had a stack of books. I still have a stack of books. I have ebooks, audiobooks more now, but um, I do find even with myself, I doom scroll like unfortunately like others, and I check out stuff. I try to do that less and less, but we're all sort of in this new Web 2 generation where like AI's catering information to us that keeps us involved in an app and outside of our present normal lives as much as they possibly can through data-driven tactics.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I noticed it with my children, for example, as well. I remember back in the days when our family made those big trips to the other part of Europe, for example, to Spain, whatever. We always had a stack of comic books with us just to read during those trips. And now, I have to admit, I try to encourage my children to read also books and comic books. But it's so much easier to get their Nintendo Switch or just a cell phone and play some game on it, because when they play on it, they can be entertained for hours. Like when you read a book, for example, it takes, of course, more effort to stay focused. At least I get that impression.
Yeah, a little bit less engaging than a game. So we have our graphic artist who has helped us during the campaign, during the Kickstarter, Anthony Mathenia, Trash Pandia in our comments. He's saying that you need to see their new Hemingway graphic novel, a total classic European comic art style. And he said you can get it after you finish it, but also he's working on the EPK and pitch package for publishers, and he can email you some pages of it to check it out.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention. There's a chat.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Great. Amazing.
Yeah. You guys need to know each other. I'm excited for you. I'm glad that he's here during this live. Actually,
Oh,
there is something that I want to share, which is kind of a fun thing, and definitely want to like get focused on you again. But there is a project I did. Let me see if my website is bananaislandfilms.com, and so here's a music video we did, a narrative music video. So I'm going to play a little clip. See if I can zoom in. Yeah, can you see that? Okay.
Yeah, sure. And I think I already watched it several times, I think, on your website.
It was pretty fresh when you and I met, so it was like, this is the coolest thing I've done. So here's this little intro of this crazy music video. So skip through it, but it was going to be a one take. That was the idea, where we're on motorcycles and all the characters you possibly could see in the music, or in Hanoi, Vietnam, where I was living. And me and a French artist, we made a lot of content together. And this is probably the pinnacle of our projects together that we did, where there's like very us or very him.
How did you achieve it?
It was so fun. What's that?
How did you achieve it? All those, the other bikes are not in motion, and the other one in the back is. How did you do that?
Yeah, so this is 4x slow motion, but we're driving at a pretty fast pace, tracking this one motorcycle. And we hired we hired or got collaborators for every single one of these people. Even this is my motorcycle I got, and it's like those water bottles on it and like raw meat and like all this crazy stuff you see in Hanoi. He's a friend of ours, a French friend of ours.
That's because you're tracking it and you're doing it slow motion. You get the impression the other ones are fixed, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And he's also driving at he's driving like 4x faster than everyone else, and we're in 4x slow-mo.
Wow. Wow, that's so cool.
So then there's this other French photographer did this behind the scenes music video, which shows basically Vincent Beaumont and I making the thing. We bought all these flowers at the flower market, and we hired the person who sells the flowers. Like, we'll just buy all your flowers today in one go if you hang out with us until 4 a.m. So that was pretty cool. Some of the lighting wasn't great, but yeah. Anyways, it's a really fun project, and this behind the scenes kind of shows our. Let's see if I can start it over. I don't know if I can do that, but he did a whole what do you call it, storyboard behind it.
Yeah.
which the beginning really shows it. Come on. Can't adjust the volume. No.
Yeah, but there's some beautiful shots here. Nice.
And
wow. I never really watched that. Cool, man.
We're making the light like a China ball, get the glow we wanted, and
that's incredible. So much work.
Anyway, for people that are interested, you can go watch that. It's really fun because it shows.
I absolutely will.
Yeah,
I didn't really pay attention. It was behind the scenes for that.
Yeah, it's like 15 minutes long of me and him. And I mean, we spent like 2 months preparing for that. And I actually extended. I was going to fly back to the States because I had I'd been wanting to move back to the States. So in that month it was crazy. So I was like, well, if I'm gonna spend another month here working on this, and that music that's for both of those was the first all-female metal punk band in Vietnam. And they were like super good friends of ours. And the singer tragically died after their first album came out. And so it was sort of like they made this whole band and they had this whole thing, and then it just sort of like fell flat. And then all those artists went and made other bands, and they've been in many bands since then. And one of our super close friends, mutual friends, is Choi Chung Lei. She's been in like 8 projects since then, and she's amazing. She's still doing really cool stuff. Limebox is her most recent one. Anyway, we wanted to like make a music video for that band because we both saw them live and were like huge fans when I first got to Vietnam 11 years ago. That's how we met, is through that band and that venue. And
cool.
So this is a music video for them, kind of in honor of like the first punk band in first all-female punk band in Vietnam. But yeah, he really wanted to make this huge thing, and we got like 35 different Vietnamese artists involved in it, in every possible way, like from the film industry, because there is like there's an interesting film industry there. Mostly they're making like American invasion and American like downfall films about how Vietnam like kicked America's ass, which I think is hilarious. Like half the people I knew in Vietnam were like extras in and got murdered in at least one movie, because they make like 1 or 2 a year of like how America lost the war. So that was pretty fun little thing. But yeah, Vincent is such a good friend of mine, and I've learned so much from him. But he's like in your zone more. Like he went to art school, and he paints and draws and did all the storyboarding. And when I met him, he was like in the documentary direction space. And so I was like, ooh, I want to learn how to do that. So I helped him on his first documentary, Red Over the Rainbow, about LGBT in Vietnam, which is super fascinating. I learned a lot there. But anyway, like he's like one of my favorite people in the last 10 years. And we did so many work together. And that's like that was like the pinnacle of our work together, is like making this narrative music video and then the behind the scenes. There's a lot to it.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's cool. I'm definitely going to check it out after we finish the behind the scenes. Of course, the clip I saw already, but there's so much work that went in there.
About a month of work. And I also, during that same month, I also made my own first feature doc, which was about the music scene in Vietnam, Hanoi Mixtape.
Yeah.
So that was like a crazy month where I was like, I'm just making all the things. I'm living my dream so big right now. I was just sitting in the dirt a lot, actually, like
but
sweating.
But that's a fun part. You're working on something and you're heading somewhere. So that's always great. Yeah.
And I think you said something about like learning on, working on your work in Witness Underground, and then all the other, and working on your music video with, what's the name of it again? I forgot.
The music video is called Break Me Down. Yeah.
Break Me Down. Working on that, like the amount of learning that you do when you make something for yourself. It's like 10x working for somebody else in a way, because you're in charge of it and you're thinking through it all.
Okay. That's absolutely true. And when something goes wrong, that's just another way to learn. We call it learning money in Belgium.
Learning money.
When something goes wrong and you just you screw up and you lose money, then that's learning money. It's like going to school, basically.
Right. So I like that.
I
have a lot of learning money. I've spent.
Well, it's like investing.
Can you so what is the next thing for you? What are you excited about? What are you working on? What do you want people to know if they want to like work with you?
Well, to be honest, I'm trying to focus a bit on my own musical and artistic projects. So I have I have always a difficult time to say no to people when they ask me something to create. I'm always very excited when people come to me with projects. I mostly am. So when the band that we just talked about came up to me and asked to create a movie video, I was thrilled, and even though it was on a very low budget and a very low payment, it was nevertheless I agreed full-heartedly because just very interesting, and you learn so much out of those projects. So, but now I'm trying to shift my focus a bit on my own stuff actually. So. I used to work for also a company that produced clothes. So maybe if you check out my website, like you said, I have a variety of styles, and I found it very difficult during the years. I became a kind of specialist in creating what clients like to have. So I'm quite good in that sense. When somebody comes to me and says, "I want something in that style," I became quite well in doing that. But the flip side of that is that I really never really focused too much on my own style and developing that. But I'm under the impression that now I'm really finding that you can notice the style already in the music videos you showed. For example, when you go to scroll a bit down to graphics for apparel, I used to work for a company called Riverwoods. This is very vintage-ish. But when you
single color prints,
and already on my website, I try to unify a bit the style of all my working. But nevertheless, when you go, for example, a bit on the top, no, back down, where we have graphics for apparel, you have for example, Riverwoods Ladies and Girls, LNG, and when you scroll down a bit,
cool. I love that. Wow.
For example, these things. Stop with the kitty.
Yeah.
These things I created also. But this is just one of the things I selected because I kind of put a bit amount of work in producing this. But I would never naturally produce this kind of images. It's because
it's more for the brand.
The brand asked to produce this, and they kind of then we come up as graphic designers, we come up with ideas. So that's why my website is kind of filled with very eclectic stuff going all over the place. Although I try to unify them a bit and put like some kind of rugged vintage sauce over my work. But now it's time for me to focus a bit on my own illustration, because drawing is actually one of the main reasons why I started to study graphic design. And I wanted to do something with animation. So is
there something you're really proud of that we can show? That's like more in the Klaas De Loose style.
Well, I think that the drawings you pointed out, for example, when we go to the first things you showed, this guy with his big mask. Where it is again. When you go to graphics in motion, I think you have to go moving images and then graphics in motion. A bit higher, Scott, in the top. And then you got graphics in motion, but a little bit down. This one. So this leans very, this goes very much into my own style. Also, the drawing I made of it's also just a very small test I made in After Effects. It's just to learn myself After Effects, actually. It's nothing serious, but it was more like experimenting with 3D cameras in After Effects. Cool. But it really shows a bit the style that I like to work in. If you scroll down, the other one you showed already, for example, the girl standing for the house,
in front of your house.
Also, in front of my house. I think I like also doing photography, so I'm really searching for ways to bundle my interests in my art. So as a musician,
I like that. Like I've done that. I feel like I did that with Mixed Witness Underground in a big way. Like all the music background, the vintage like footage, and the story of the leaving the religion, plus also like landing outside in a way that I'm like super proud of, and everyone in the film is like much happier. Like putting all those elements together and then making live music videos to go with it, with featuring all those artists, was like everything I've ever done for the last decade is in like one movie, and it's like
Yeah.
a story about me. So it's like, oh man, it's not just a movie I made. It's like it's my whole life for my whole adult life,
Yeah.
and like that kind of combining interests is such a big deal for me. So like when you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, that is the right move. Do that.
Yeah, it totally resonates with me also what you say. So absolutely. Yeah, personally, I'm just looking for a way to combine all these things a bit but this time I will try to do it. Yeah, I think I'm going to use as a backbone my own music, and this is the image I talked
Oh yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. It's cool with the
Uh,
clouds moving. It was like a
yeah,
parallax style. Yeah,
yeah,
it's so
exactly.
cool.
It's
Lots of
basically just a 3D
Burns
camera.
push.
Uh, it's
Very
a
cool.
3D camera in After Effects, and you just have 2 layers, and it's pushing in. So,
Yeah,
so yeah.
very cool. It's
Um,
so fun. You're doing so many things. What if somebody wanted to learn from your work? Oh, sorry. Like, do you do consulting, or can
yeah,
people
yeah,
work with you,
absolutely,
hire you?
absolutely.
Do you teach?
Yeah, but I'm trying to only accept at this stage, when somebody is asking me to do something, I use my own style, my own graphical tastes as a filter to decide if I'm going to do it or not. So
Okay.
so when somebody would like to work with me, absolutely, I'm always open for collaborations, especially when it comes down to music. Um, I'm always I have a lot of unfinished songs, and I'm always looking
Mm.
for opportunities to finish those.
Yeah.
Um,
How can
and
we help you finish those songs? Is there anything that we can do? Do you need just time, or?
it would be great to have like a collaborator or somebody who has maybe a good like a producer or something like that. Would be nice. Somebody that
Yeah.
produces music or is into producing. Um,
Somebody in Europe that it's easier to access
well,
physically,
it's
like
not
in person.
necessarily in Europe, but for example, my songs that you can find on YouTube, these are made by a producer, a
Okay.
very talented one. But as you might know, producers tend to put their image on your style, on
Mm.
your music as well. And because this
Yeah.
was funded totally by somebody else, I didn't have much to say when it comes down to the style and the arrangement.
Mm.
So that the music that's standing on my YouTube channels, I really love it.
Mm.
But it doesn't really contain the style that I was looking for with my
In
songs.
terms of your songs,
Yeah, in terms of my songs, yeah,
like the
I
producer really influenced the sound to be
yeah,
different than what you would have
exactly,
done yourself.
exactly.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
looking, like you already noticed. Maybe I like, for example, Gorillas. I like
Yeah.
Massive Attack, for example, a lot. Some dub music, these kind of things. And of course, I have a wide variety of tastes. But for my personal music, I'm more heading to something more dark. Like you probably noticed in my music video, it's kind of dark and very dark, and it doesn't really. It ended up well with the music, but nevertheless, I wanted the music to be more dark as well. The song
Hmm.
"Break Me Down."
Yeah.
So I'm looking for a possibility maybe to have a collaboration to finish those songs in this particular style maybe.
That's
I'm not
cool.
sure how
Yeah.
to word it, but mostly I write my songs. I come up with melodies on guitar and on piano, but that doesn't necessarily has to be the end product. Let's put it this
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
Um, it's a nice way to come up with melodies and ideas, but I don't really want to be the guitar with just playing the folk music here. So
Hmm.
I'm playing around in Ableton a lot, and I'm having great ideas, but yeah, I just don't get to finishing those songs. For example, a
Hmm.
producer that really has the same vision or can understand my vision would be great. So I'm looking at this very moment. I already have sent some emails to some producers, but
I know a I know a guy, an old friend of mine from my hometown. Actually, he's been living in Brno in Czechia in Czech Republic,
yeah.
um, and he might know some connections because he's been doing DJ work and music work in Czech Republic for
Okay.
like 14
Uh,
years or something. Trying to think. I'll see if I can think of someone else in the European world. Oh, we've got one of our friends, Jonathan's, just popped on X Fitness Awake. Hey, what's up?
Hey, hi
Uh,
there.
yeah, like that's a really interesting challenge. Like, oh, and there's also a really well, he's a very different style, but what's his name? There's a British artist who just came out with. You can look up Deborah the Zebra.
Deborah the
His work
Zebra.
is
I
he's
love the
very
name.
connected in the music world, and his stuff is at a super high level. Yeah,
Deborah
Tate,
the Zebra or Deborah the Zebra?
definitely Zebra. Tate
Oh yeah,
is
I found something already. Yeah. Okay,
um,
I'll look
what's
into
his
that.
name?
Brooke
This
Tate.
is Brooke Tate. Yeah, Brooke Tate's work is super high level, amazing. I'm super excited. Like I watched he has a special coming out soon. He's going to go through the film festival world. It's like made me cry 3 times. It's so
Oh,
good.
yeah.
But these are ex witnesses that I know who are making music in Europe because I'm connected to that world through the Witness Underground podcast. But I'm sure you can find someone. There's plenty of artists
Yeah,
and
no
musicians,
doubt, no
producers
doubt.
all across Europe.
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
because I was in the religion for so long, I didn't really do anything with the music at all.
yeah,
So and this creating this movie clip and recording the songs back in the days was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'm not doing with this music anything, so why not? But now that I woke up, let's put it this way, of course I want to do something with that. So I'm planning on writing more songs, finishing them, and then performing them as well, and combining it maybe with some live visuals that I'm going to make myself.
very
I'm
cool.
I'm always looking for ways to combine my my graphic and my visual visions with my passions for music. Oh,
Amazing.
my light dropped out.
Oh, I like
um,
that. We'll end in darkness. I just reconnected with an old friend from Hanoi when I first moved there, 2012. Luca Heinrichs. He's in Luxembourg,
yeah,
and
oh
that's not
yeah.
so far away. And he
No,
has a
that's
music
just around the
club
corner.
there and a creative studio. So maybe he'd be a great person to
Ah,
connect like
yeah,
the
maybe.
community with. He's not
Yeah,
like how far
okay.
away is Luxembourg? A couple hours.
No, yeah, a couple of hours exactly. Maybe 2 hours driving from
Cool.
Ghent. Yeah, probably
That's
something like that.
that might be a great, at least even just for like a live performance someday.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Would be great. Yeah, sure,
Cool.
sure.
I'll put the pieces together because like half the
Mhm.
people I was hanging out with in Hanoi in the music world for 5 years were musicians who are European based, and so a lot of them have moved
Oh,
back to Europe.
okay.
Yeah, and started something, kept the music thing going. But yeah, I want to bring all my circles together, combine all my ideas and all my humans that I've met over the years into
Yeah, but
creating dreams come true.
that's where life is about. I think about having great connections and you see that the best things can get achieved when you have great connections.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's an hour. Is there anything you wanted to leave with the audience and like I guess everyone check out Monster Mash novowels.com.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me there. And always, yeah, I'm always open for collaborations and maybe yeah, collaborating on ideas. If people want to reach out and ask if there's a possibility, I'm always open for that. Being a teacher, I have a bit time on my hands. And like I said, I'm trying to focus that a bit on my own artistic visions. But nevertheless,
There's always
projects
opportunities.
like
Maybe.
yours are always welcome and interesting.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate it. Everybody check out monstermash.com to see all of the work that Klaas has done. And your artistic name is shown on the screen, Rust.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Rust, indeed,
Rust.
indeed. You can also go to rust.world because I added this URL to my portfolio. So very soon, at this very moment, my website is actually just my portfolio as a graphic designer, but I'm going to change it and tailor it a bit more towards my artistic views. So I'm going to
How
cut some of my old stuff out and
Okay, cool. How many more songs do you think that you've got that you would like to put together into your
at
next big
least
ambition?
30 30 or 40 are lying just
Wow,
waiting
30 or
to be
40 songs.
finished. Yeah, well, some of them are just scribbles. Like
Yeah.
I call them audio sketches. So
Okay,
so
I
some
like
of
that.
them are just bits and pieces and ideas. But other songs are mostly finished, and they just need a bridge and then a nice electronic industrial sauce to pull over it to finish them. So yeah. So, but when
Can
it
you?
comes down to musical stuff, I'm also always I'm also it's interesting to notice, but for me, drawing and shooting pictures and making films and stuff like that and making music, it's strangely coming from the same place. But technically, it comes from the same place, your brain, of course. But I have the impression it comes from the same place, and I'm kind of more and more growing towards knowing what I want and what kind of style I want. So so yeah, there's that. You wanted to ask something else?
Oh, well, I would like to promise the audience one more song that's more in the Rust style,
Well, I'm
and it
trying
has a
to
music video.
finish. Yeah, well, I'm trying to finish on my YouTube channel. You can find my the song I try to finish as soon as possible. It's called 2046, and it's based on the movie with the same name. Um, and not so long ago, I participated in a challenge from a Dutch artist here in Belgium. He sings in English mostly. His name is his band is called Ozark Henry. And to participate in the challenge, you had to send out a video. So I created a video and I shot it just right behind me. My kids even helped to film it with my phone. And
Cool.
that snippet I sent over to the artist, and then I was picked to sing together with a couple of other people in the choir for his song, which will come out next year. So that was a fun experience. But that snippet you can find, of course, on the internet in 2000. It's called 2046, and you can find it on YouTube. But I will try to finish it as soon as possible. And when I get
Cool.
a producer, it will be even quicker.
There's a challenge that a lot of the people in Witness Underground, a lot of the artists that we feature, especially High TV, who did an album, and that was the soundtrack to my first work, which is the XW Coming Out series.
Yeah,
They did the RPM challenge, and then Ryan Sutter, his music, he did Trumpet Marine album on RPM challenge. And RPM challenge is an interesting project that might be perfect for you because you have song ideas, but they're not like done yet.
yeah.
But it's put an album together in 1 month and then release that on RPM challenge
Wow.
as a
Yeah,
way to like put 10 songs out or whatever the thing is, all in a very short duration.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's interesting because one of the other challenges I face is also, of course, when you do something with music and you want to do it and you do it mostly yourself. Yeah, mastering and mixing is also a big part of it, and that's also something I'm not too familiar with. I try to educate myself, but if you're not sitting next to an engineer, it's difficult to do it on your own. You can, of course, watch YouTube movies or clips or whatever, but yeah, mastering something to put it out on streaming platforms, it's always a challenge. And I never really did it on my own. So the songs that are on Spotify are actually mastered by the producer that also where I also recorded the song. So that's also a big challenge, I think.
I'm going to just put this idea out there because I know your quality is at a super high level and you have such a vision for it. That Ryan Sutter from our movie,
Yeah.
he's now got an active studio again. So he finished the studio this summer for Nuclear Gopher Studios, and he does mastering, and he's done a ton of like self education over the decades. So he has a very clear
Wow.
idea. And also Eric Elvendahl from the movie, he works a lot in like post production of music.
Oh, really?
Those two guys might be able to work with you remotely and just keep it in the family. So it's a Witness Underground
Oh,
album
yeah,
that's
it would be
coming,
great.
or
It would be
Nuclear Gopher
amazing.
album. Sorry.
I didn't know what Eric was doing in his professional time, so I didn't notice. I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've actually hired him, and so has Vincent Beaumont, the other French filmmaker that I've mentioned. We both
Yeah.
hired Eric to do commercial music for our commercial projects and clients that we've had. Like we need a promotion or something, and we hired Eric to do the music for it. So he's been awesome. He's such a musical visionary for that kind of thing. Yeah.
I really must catch up with these guys.
Yeah. I'll put a group email for you, Eric, Ryan, and Anthony, who's on the call, because you guys we got to share some information. So
Yeah, we connected through Facebook back in the days, but never really with a small chat like hi. Yeah, you're on the movie, something like that. But
right.
we never really got into the nitty gritty, so that would be great.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear your music, and I'm excited that you've got a whole new vision for your creative future. It's really exciting.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah. All right, we'll wrap it up. Everybody check out monstermash.com to follow Klaas De Loose and
Perfect.
Loose.
Perfect.
I nailed it by the end. Screwed it up at the beginning.
Yeah. And
And
Rusted World. Yeah.
Rust.world. And witnessunderground.com for our film. And right now we're still in a Kickstarter. So if you're watching this now, there's until Friday, November 17th, we're still got that going. And witnessunderground.com will still be the place to find all the information related to the film and the people involved in the film and the Witness Underground podcast. There's a whole thing happening. Anyway, thank you again, everybody. And we'll talk to you again soon, Klaas.
Thank you, Scott. And also thank you for letting me collaborate. It was great experience. And thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Take care.
See you soon.